we are continuing through CO36, which is absolute value equations. We talked yesterday about absolute value. The whole definition is a number's distance from zero. And we also discussed how absolute value equations are special in that when you solve an absolute value equation, you don't need to write this for the definition. I'm just putting it here. You are getting two equations, which means you have two solutions. Okay. Why are we looking for two values for the variable? Why are we looking for two solutions when solving an absolute value equation? Who remembers why? Chase.
Because it could be a negative or a positive.
It could be a negative or a positive. That's part of it. Okay. Usually is going to be a negative or a positive. Not always, though. It depends on what else is going on inside the bars. But what causes this whole two solution phenomenon? Paul.
Maybe because we can plug it back, both solutions back into the regular equation.
Okay. The definition of absolute value is a number's distance from zero. How many sides to zero are there? Two, right? And because there are two sides to zero, that's why we get two solutions, because there's going to be two numbers that are the same distance away from zero. We call them opposites. We talked about that yesterday, and we solved the first three together. You should all have these notes here, but basically just to walk through it quickly, because we're going to be using this train of thought more today. If we start with the absolute value of n plus 1 is 66, in our minds, we think about what that means. It means that this term, that n plus 1, that expression, is a distance of 66 from 0. Okay, so what two numbers are a distance of 66 from 0? Caleb.
66 and negative 66.
66 and negative 66. Which means that that expression, n plus 1, could be 66, or it could be negative 66. And that's where our two equations come from, right? That definition of absolute value, a distance from zero. Here are our two equations. We use opposite operations to solve. Again, you already have these notes written down. And we get n can be 65 or negative 67. Notice they're not opposites, right? And the reason why they're not opposites is because you've got that plus 1 going on there. Okay, 65 plus 1 is 66. Distance of 66 from 0. Negative 67 plus 1 is negative 66. Distance of 66 from 0. Okay? Now, before we go on, any questions on that train of thinking? Nick?
So, for the 66 one, couldn't you just subtracted 1 from 66 and just added 1 to negative 60, or sorry, subtracted 1?
That's exactly what we did here. Yeah.
That's all you have to do.
Yep. Minus 1. Yes. That's exactly what we did. Of course, as the equations get more difficult, you want to write out the work. Okay. Like this one was a little more complicated, right? But that's the basic idea. Yes. Anything else? Excellent. Okay. The bottom right one, the one we did not do yet, the absolute value of n minus 7 plus 5 equals 2. Now, this has got some stuff inside the bars and some stuff outside the bars. Okay, inside the bars, we're subtracting 7. Then we're adding 5. Now, remember our goal up at the top of the page? What does it say the goal is? What does it say the goal is? Yeah.
Isolate the absolute value bars.
Stop there. Isolate the absolute value bars. Okay? So that plus 5, which is outside of the bars, is a problem. How are we going to deal with that? Do you think? Just have a guess. Maddie. Exactly. We're going to move it over. Okay? We can use opposite operations on this positive 5 because it's not inside the bars. Remember I said we wouldn't add 7 to both sides here because that minus 7 is kind of trapped inside the absolute value bars. That positive 5 isn't. So we can use opposite operations to move it over. And 2 minus 5 equals negative 3. We've got a big problem here.
It's a absolute value is positive.
Paisley?
Oh,
Okay. You've got a big problem here. Sam?
The bar.
Well, yes, but even bigger than that. Yes, Andrea?
Absolute values are positive. They're not like if it's -3, it's equal to 3, 3 is equal to 3, but 3 is equal to 3.
For those who didn't hear what Andrea said, she is saying that if absolute value is a distance, which it is, what this equation is telling us or asking us is n minus 7 is a distance of -3 from 0. That's not possible. Andrea, stand up, please.
Round of applause.
No, even better. Whenever someone makes a mathematical observation, discovery, so special, it's almost like it's Mathenger-like. Well done, Andrea. Well done. Who's got goosebumps? I've got goosebumps. Well done. Well done. Okay? It's possible for an absolute value equation to have no solution. And this is the case where it seems pretty innocent, seems pretty normal, but in the solving process, when you have to move something over to the other side and you end up with a negative there with the bars by themselves, a distance cannot be negative. There is no such number that is a distance of -3 from 0. So this gets the no solution symbol. Your life gets a lot easier.
It does?
Yes.
Well, because you don't have to solve it. There's no solution. So there you go. Okay?
So on your base is on
You can't get them out of the bars.
All right.
You didn't raise your hand.
She's never gonna raise
You
her hand.
didn't raise your hand and raise your hand again, Andrea.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. You are live. Now, this next one here, I'm on the second page. 6 times the absolute value of n minus 9 equals 18. Again, we've got a situation where we have stuff inside the bars, stuff outside the bars. Bars are not parentheses, so you cannot distribute the 6 into the bars. We have to use opposite operations to isolate the bars. The bars really can't be changed until they're isolated. So, what would we do to eliminate that 6, basically?
You divide the 6.
Again, opposite operations, divide both sides by 6. Okay? That does say 6 times the absolute value of n minus 9. However, because they're not parentheses, they don't have the same properties, we can't distribute. We do need to divide both sides by 6 to cancel it out. Okay? And that leaves us with the absolute value of n minus 9 equals 3. Now that the bars are by themselves, okay, this says that n minus 9 is a distance of 3 from 0. So what 2 equations are you going to set up here? Colin.
N minus 9 equals 3. And n minus 9 equals 3.
If n minus 9 is a distance of 3 from 0, that means n minus 9 could be 3, or n minus 9 could be -3. Right? Same thing as the front side, only I don't have those little helpful things to guide you here. Okay? Once you get to this point, you're writing your 2 equations. N minus 9 equal to +3, n minus 9 equal to -3. Because those are the 2 numbers that are a distance of 3 from 0. Everyone with me?
Sure. Kind of.
Basically?
After you did that, wouldn't you add 9?
Yes. Now, opposite operations to solve. Add 9 to both sides, and n can be 12. Oops, no. Or n can be +6. Okay? So Chase mentioned before that whole one's going to be positive, one's going to be negative thing. Generally, that's probably going to be true, but not always, right? Here we have a situation where both our values for n are positive, okay? And we can plug this into the original equation to see if it works. 6 times the absolute value of 12 minus 9, 6 times the absolute value of 3. The absolute value of 3 is 3. 6 times 3 equals 18. 12 works. Plug in 6. 6 times the absolute value of 6 minus 9. or 6 times the absolute value of negative 3? Well, the absolute value of negative 3 is
Negative 18.
3. 6 times 3 is 18. Right? Again, how far from 0 is this number? It is 3 away. Okay? So when we check it, it works. Any of these other equations that you're unsure how to start, we can do another one together completely. Let's just do it. Yeah. Which one would you like to see? Yeah.
Can we do the next one together?
The next one together, sure. This one is very similar, at least the opening step to the one that we just did here. We're multiplying our bars by 2. So to undo that, since we can't distribute, the opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. Okay? So we're going to divide both sides by 2. That cancels out. And we've got the absolute value of 4n plus 11 equals 24. Even I'm not always the best at this, but when you're writing absolute value bars, try and make them bigger than your expression. You don't want, to make them kind of small and think this is, 14n plus 111, right? So try and make them visibly longer than everything else so you recognize that you're dealing with absolute value bars, okay? Now that the bars are by themselves, we can write our two equations. What this says is that 4n plus 11 is a distance of 24 from 0. So what could 4n plus 11 be? What are our two equations? Tristan?
4n plus 11 equals 24, or 4n plus 11 equals negative.
Excellent. 4n plus 11 could be 24, because that's 24 away from 0. 4n plus 11 could be negative 24, because that's also 24 away from 0. Right? Opposite operations to solve. I'm sorry this doesn't work out very pretty, but that's okay. Sometimes it doesn't. 4n equals 13. Divide both sides by 4. And n equals 13/4. If you wanted to write that as 3.25, then you could. It's a decimal that isn't very nasty, so if you prefer decimal form, that's just fine. The other side, subtract 11 from both sides. 4n equals negative 35. Again, divide by 4 to get n by itself. And that is negative 35/4, or negative 8.75. That would be okay too. Okay. There you go. Again, that same thought process that we worked through yesterday and to start today. Other questions on this? Nick? Okay. The bottom part of the assignment goes to standard deviation, which is probably the more typical usage of absolute value. Absolute deviation is another way to say standard deviation. And who remembers what standard deviation means? We've talked about it before, that definition. Colin?
An acceptable range above or below.
Yes, an acceptable range above or below a desired amount, we'll call it. Acceptable range above or below a desired amount. An example. In order to test into geometry in high school, a student needs to get a placement test score of 80 points with an absolute deviation. Did I use an example yesterday?
Yeah,
I did.
100.
Similar to it, yeah, with an absolute deviation of 8. What is the range of scores a student can get to be placed in geometry, right? This 80 means that that's the target score, right? That is a student whose correct placement is right smack dab in the middle of geometry. Okay, you'll be the average kid in the geometry class, right? If you score an 82, does that mean, whoa, you've got geometry down? No, it means that you're going to be above average, probably, okay, but still in the right course. So what would the range of scores to test in geometry be? 72 to 88, right? Your target score is 80, but that absolute deviation, that acceptable range above or below that 80, is still going to get you in. Okay, so the range of scores, 80 minus 8, 72, 80 plus 8, 88. A 72 would mean you're probably gonna maybe need to stay after school some, okay? Get a little bit of extra help, work a little bit harder. An 88 means things are probably gonna come pretty easy for you, okay? You're right on the border of Algebra 2, but you need to take geometry first, all right? On the map test, your RIT score is an absolute deviation of 3. This is actually fact. Every time you take the map test, there's an absolute deviation of 3 because they take into account the fact that on some you guess. Maybe one day you have a good guessing day, one day you have a bad guessing day. If you were to take the test again the very next day, it is very likely that you would get in the plus minus 3 range of your score. So if your RIT score is 230, what is the range of possible RIT scores you are most likely to get if you immediately take the test again? In figure skating competition, program must be 3 minutes, 30 seconds long with an absolute deviation of 9 seconds. For every second outside of that range, a point is deducted. How many points would be deducted from a program that was 3 minutes and 15 seconds long? Okay, is there more to this, or is that the last one? Oh, there's more. The average amount of time it takes me to drive to work from daycare is 19 minutes, 20 seconds, with an absolute deviation of 40 seconds, right? Maybe I hit all the red lights, maybe I get all the green lights. If I leave daycare at 7 a.m., give the range of times you'd expect to see me running in the school, dragging his kids behind me, while apologizing to my boss that I'm late. Okay? Again, real life, outside of math class. Who asked that yesterday? When outside of math? Right here.
Never.
This one.
But that's
Okay?
It was cold.
This one.
using math.
So your homework is the entire page of this. Finish up CO36. This is going to be due tomorrow. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, comments, congratulations, or criticisms. Nick!
You have to sing the Perm God song. 'Cause I
Have to
forgot
do
about it.
anything.
Please.
Yeah, you owe me.
Paul!
Did you go up and do the second last one?
See, Paul's got an actual legitimate question. Thank you, Paul. What do you want me to do?
Psycho.
What do you want me to do?
The second
We have like a minute now.
Second.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. 5 times the opposite of n plus 6 minus 10 equals 25. Whoa, don't start moving because you can't hear me. I'll get you started here. This has got a lot of stuff outside the bars. If this were to read just like 5x minus 10 equals 25, what would you do first? Add 10, divide by 5. Same thing here. Okay, add 10, divide by 5.
So you don't need to divide that by.
No, you would add 10 first.
Alright.
All right, that's on that.